How good is Tennessee, Paul?
They're fantastic. Whether they're the best team or not, I think is unknown yet. But they have the most exciting offense, and I'll defer to you, Keyshawn. But to watch that drive with 18 seconds to go, it looked like Patrick Mahomes last year against the Bills. It's so difficult to do that in college football. But everything went well, and in the end, should that have even happened, it was a crazy game where Tennessee had an 18-point lead. Alabama came back. Alabama had won the game, it looked like, several times. They had a 50-yard field goal at the end. And let's be honest, Nick Saban's defense at the end of the game was among his worst coaching series I have ever seen.
When you look at this team, how much did the loss to Tennessee hurt Alabama's hopes for the playoffs now? They went from, 2, and they dropped all the way down to 6, I believe?
Well, in plain English, Keyshawn, they can still get in if they win out, but that's not easy. They have no more. They have no margin for error. I think that would be an understatement. But what do they have left? They have a game at LSU, a game at Ole Miss. And that may be the trickiest one because Lane Kiffin's team is very good right now. And if they win out, then they'll probably play either Georgia or Tennessee again in the SEC championship game. Georgia and Tennessee play in 3 weeks, so keep your eyes on that one. So then they would have to win that. It's not that that's a big deal. That's the way college football is. So they can get back in. But the way this team is playing, they had 15 penalties against Texas, and Saban said, "We'll correct all that." They had 17 penalties against Tennessee. Keyshawn, that's a bad trend line.
Paul, who do you think was more impressive? Was it Hooker or was it Bryce Young?
Well, in some ways it was Bryce Young because of what he was dealing with, Jay Will. I mean, he was coming back from a sprain that we weren't sure he could come back from. He played brilliantly, and that was really lost in the afternoon in Knoxville. But his defense did not help him. His offensive line was abysmal at times. He was running for his life. But in the end, Hendon Hooker delivered in the moment. And, Hyatt, the wide receiver, caught 5 touchdowns. I mean, there are so many records that were shattered by the Tennessee offense against the Alabama defense that you lose sight of the game within the game. But the 2 quarterbacks were spectacular. It reminded me a little bit of 3 years ago when we had that battle between Tua and Joe Burrow in Tuscaloosa. It was that type of atmosphere and that type of quarterback battle.
So, Paul, I had some fun with Key yesterday. I did Jay's Hot Takes, and it was about some of the mishaps that happened to Key over the weekend because, he went to Utah. He went up there to go see his USC Trojans lose. And were you surprised that they lost that game? Because I know Key believes they should have won.
No, Jay. Well, I'm not one. I'm not surprised, and I'm not one of those guys like all the people that Keyshawn works with, who have to remind everyone of their predictions. This is a nationally televised radio and television show. Most people know what we say and they can remember. But I tried to warn Keyshawn a couple of weeks ago, and I know you're probably nodding your head, Keyshawn. I said, you're not going to win that game. Don't go.
Oh, God.
Save yourself the money and the aggravation. I know things are tight at the Key House right now. So you went anyway. And you got what you deserved.
And look, we really should have won the game. Our defense at Alex Grinch didn't do us any favors. We should have won. Didn't happen. Now that we lost, though, Paul, do we have any shot? We're sitting at 12. Can we climb back in it? I
think so. It's not impossible. And Oregon has been the savior of the Pac-12. I mean, listen, everyone ruled Oregon out after that shellacking by Georgia, but they have credibility now. So everything matters a little bit more in the Pac-12. I think it's a narrow path because of the Big Ten and the SEC have 5 teams still in contention. The ACC has Clemson. It's unlikely, but it's not impossible, Keyshawn.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.